So for tonight's homework, you're going to be finding inverse functions again, but this time we're going to be using equations that are given rather than just relations of points or the graph. So instructions say that for the following equations, we're going to find the inverse function of the equation algebraically. So that's our third method. We can do it graphically now, we can do it with the table, and now we can do it algebraically. Graph both equations and state whether or not each equation constitutes a function. Explain. Alright, so this is our equation. The first thing we have to do is find the inverse function, and we talked about how we're going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to first flip our x and y, and once we've done that, our only other step is to just solve for y. So we draw our river, and the first thing I'm going to do is add 4 to both sides, x plus 4 equals 2y, and lastly, I'm just going to divide by 2. So what I'm left with is 1/2 x plus 2 equals y. Alright, so now we have our equation. The next thing we have to do is graph both equations. So for our first equation, I'm going to graph this one in black just to distinguish between the two. Our y-intercept is -4, and our slope is 2/1. So I'm going to graph that over here. So there's our first line, y equals 2x minus 4. And the next thing we have to do is we have to graph our inverse function. So I'm going to graph this one in red. That one has a y-intercept of 2 and a slope of 1/2. So now we'll graph that one over here on our graph as well. And now we have our graph of the line y equals 1/2 x plus 2. Alright, so the last thing that we have to do after we've graphed both is we have to explain whether or not each equation constitutes a function. And remember, there are two ways to determine that. We can use our mapping skills to do that, or we can use the vertical line test. So in this case, I'm going to use the vertical line test. Let's talk about our first function, which is mapped in black, and the function that's mapped in black, if we use our vertical line test and I were to draw vertical lines through this graph, there is no vertical line that I could draw that would hit our original function 2 times. And yes, these lines would hit the red function, our inverse function, but that's not what we're testing right now. We're testing to see if any vertical line would hit one function 2 times, and it doesn't. So our first equation passes the vertical line test, which means it is a function. And if we try the vertical line test out on our second equation, we'll have the same result. There's no vertical line that I could draw that would hit our inverse function 2 times. So it is indeed a function. So I would write that both my original function and my inverse function are functions because they pass the vertical line test. Good luck on the rest of the worksheet, guys. I'll see you all tomorrow.